Hello everyone, I'm John Eggins. This is PNG Tonight. Coming up, Papua New Guinea's domestic violence and sexual abuse described as the worst outside conflict situations, and our countermeasures either weak or they fail. And the betel nut issue lingers on in the capital. Authorities crack down, smugglers find new holes. We continue to hit the lead with the less desirable. The country's health indicators are not impressive, but worse. The statistics on domestic violence against women and sexual abuse against the underage tip the scales outside conflict zones. That's the findings of an independent international medical humanitarian organization, MSF, or Medicine Sans Frontiers. I talked to its head of mission here, Angelica Herb. Thank you, Angelica, for talking to us. Welcome to PNG Tonight. Okay. Your report on abuse, violence against women, sexual abuse against children, in your report titled Return to Abusers. Quite frightening, the statistics, the cases that are put out there. We're not surprised. Before we get into remedial measures, just give us a quick breakdown, a brief on the nature of the problem we have here.
Thank you very much. So what the report does is, for the first time, shows the gaps in services and system which are trapping women and children in cycles of severe family and sexual violence. What we find, we talk about a data set which comes from both urban and rural setting, Port Moresby and Tari-Hela province. What we found is the following, that 94% of the patients, of the survivors, are female. More than half of the consultation MSF did for survivors of sexual violence were children. 1 in 6 even were children younger than 5 years. So this is very staggering levels of family and sexual violence. 3 in 4 survivors knew who their perpetrator is. And if we talk, like the title says it very clear, return to abuser, if we talk about repetition of abuse, 1 in 10 adult women came to our clinic and had experienced repeated sexual abuse. For children, this is even a higher number, increased to 2 in 5, 38% of children which are survivors of sexual violence had repeatedly abused.
Okay, let's get some comparative situations here. Is it the worst in the region? Is it worse in the world?
The numbers we found are, as I said, staggering high levels.
Okay.
Probably highest in number outside a conflict zone where MSF is working.
Wow, and we are not in conflict.
Exactly. So very concerning.
Wow. Okay, return to abuser. You highlight culture being one of them, that in a rural setting, culture forces people, abusers, to return to and be subject to the same abuse. Sometimes I think with those abused, they are hardwired to return. Even the culture, they know it's wrong, but they're hardwired to return. Do you find that?
It's of course a question of culture, but the reason why survivors have to return to their homes or communities, which actually should be safe, which are not, but the reason why they need to return is the gaps of system. And I will give you an example. If there would be more safe houses, for example, safe havens, where survivors could go, then they would not be forced to go back to their abusive environments. A second gap we see why survivors have to return is that there are not enough specialized police units who would actually advise children and women how to move on in the legal system.
Okay, so the government, the legal system fails them. The village system, I think, doesn't cushion them. The legal system virtually denies them or compromises them. Where do they go there?
As I said, I mean, their government started to take some steps. Actually, we have been working alongside with the National Department of Health to establish a comprehensive model of care. This we did with the government, and this was a very big step. So this is actually the model of care is there and is ready to be established, to be implemented in every province where a family support center is not yet there.
Okay. You chose rural and urban setting, you chose the national capital, you chose Hela. Why those two? Could you have chosen Leh and could you have chosen Kimbe?
Yeah. Well, we choose Tari Hela province because we have been working in Hela for the last 7 years. So this is a setting what we know, and we currently go on with our activities there. And the same was that we did support for almost 2 years the Family Support Center here in Port Moresby General Hospital. Okay. So it was very clear that we choose one rural area and an urban setting.
Yes, yes. And of course, Tari, I think, Hela province, and in the Highlands generally, women are not treated as somebody equal to men. That's obviously something you found.
Well, culture plays always a role, but actually what our experience from the last 8 years is, we were not only working in Hela province and here in the urban setting, but we would find similar numbers in East Sepik and in Milne Bay, which we were also working.
And you found similar situations, similar cases?
Yes.
So, have you made representation to the Department of Youth and Women's Affairs, or to the government, basically? Have you made representation about a situation that is basically worse in the world, and as you say, outside a conflict zone?
Yes. Oh yes, we did. I mean, as MSF always does work alongside the government, as we are a medical organization, sure. Our first counterpart is naturally the National Department of Health, but we also started to have close collaboration with the Secretary of Community, Youth and Religion, and the same with the Department of Justice, to explain them that, for example, the overall number of safe houses is 6. Overall the country, 5 of the safe houses are here in Moresby. And with the Justice Department, we were specifically pointing out that the current specialized police units are 17 all over the country, and we urge the department to increase this number, because this is not enough.
No, obviously not. And what kind of reaction did you get from government agents?
They were actually welcoming MSF and said the recommendations we brought to them and are explained in detail in the report. And they said they will work on it. Okay. At the same time, we were also asking the international community donors outside PNG that they should assist the Papua New Guinea government to work on those recommendations.
Okay.
And as Australia, for example, is the biggest donor and also closest neighbor,
sure.
We will also address this.
Okay. That's Angelica Herb of MSF, the NGO Medicine Sans Frontiers. The interview continues after this break.